You're listening to Glove Up or Shut Up on AngryMarks.com with Peter H. and Stevie J. Find them on Twitter at HardcoreCDN and at AngryMarks. And now, for all the news, reviews, and interviews in mixed martial arts, it's time for Glove Up or Shut Up from AngryMarks.com.
Alright, let's move on to UFC 195. That is a pay-per-view and not on Fight Pass.
Absolutely. So, the main event, if you didn't already know from our previous shows or from the hype videos that are out there, the natural-born killer Carlos Condit challenging the ruthless one, Robbie Lawler, for the welterweight title.
And I have to go with the champ on this one.
Well, that's easy to say, but we've had a lot of champions where we've said that going into a show lately, and the champion came out without being the champion anymore. We said that in the Ronda Rousey-Holly Holm fight, Holm took the title. We said that in the Weidman-Rockhold fight, Rockhold took the title. I mean, we've had a lot of changing of the guard lately, so there's no longer any such thing as a sure thing if you're a champion.
Put McGregor on that list, too.
Yeah, well, that one, he saw it coming. A lot of his fans saw it coming, but the pundits were just left completely stunned by that.
I think we didn't expect it that fast for McGregor.
Yeah, even if it did happen, nobody thought it would happen in 13 seconds. But anyway, this fight is totally up in the air as far as the odds makers are concerned. It's minus 110 for both men.
Huh.
You're surprised by that.
Yeah, because Condit's last few fights doesn't tell me that he's going to be beating Lawler. Lawler's on a hell of a streak right now.
Yeah, you can say that, but he was at one time the interim UFC welterweight champion.
True.
He did go 5 rounds with George St. Pierre. Not many people do that.
No, that's definitely true. I look at it like both guys have fought Rory McDonald. Who gave McDonald more fits? Lawler. I mean, he almost beat Condit. I'm using McDonald as a reference point here, but I look at the skill sets of both fighters and, you know, the opponents, and I don't know how Condit is a 110 minus co-favorite. I mean, maybe that'll change.
Let me go back on something you said, though. I hate to interrupt you, but you said McDonald gave him more fits. Well, yeah, he did for 2 rounds, but who won the fight? Condit.
If he held on for 10 more seconds, I think McDonald would have won that fight 2 rounds to 1, though.
Yeah, you can say that all you want, but all that matters, much like the McDonald-Lawler fight, is what happened at the end. If he hung on, he would have won, but he didn't hang on.
So who are you going with in this fight, then?
Right now, right at this exact moment, I'm going to say Lawler, but that is the least certain I've been about a champion retaining in any of the championship fights we've talked about in the last month. And I think Robbie Lawler is a skilled enough striker and a great enough wrestler to win a title fight like this, but I think if you dismiss Condit because you look at his record, you're mistaken, because the guys that he lost to are not slouches. I mean, George St. Pierre, Johnny Hendricks, T. Wood. There is no shame in the game of Carlos Condit for losing any of those fights.
Do we have any update on Johnny Hendricks?
I believe he might end up going up in weight with all the new USADA and weight cutting, but I've never heard that officially.
I think it was ONE FC, of course, it was based on a tragedy this week, announcing new weight cutting measures.
Yeah, their new rule is that you have to be like 10% away 4 weeks out and 20% away 8 weeks out, and like within 2 weeks they can weigh you every single day. That's as far as I know, but I don't have the particulars in front of me. All I know is that basically everybody moves up a weight class and there's no more water cutting or dehydration. It's banned.
Which, you know, it's sad to say that a weight cutting measure of this magnitude had to come through tragedy, but sometimes tragedy brings out more stringent regulations. I mean, look at the wrestling WWE with the drug testing after Eddie Guerrero passed away.
Right. And I don't know if it's ever going to go that way in UFC, but I give ONE FC credit for at least trying this and seeing how well it goes. Somebody's got to try it. Somebody's got to be the one to innovate. And if it turns out to be healthier for all the fighters, then others will follow suit.
And I point this out when I think of ONE FC, their executive VP has lots of UFC experience.
Yes, indeed. Rich Ace Franklin.
Good old, you got it. There is one guy, I've heard rumors, and people, speculation, mile a minute when it comes to Dana White. Will he ever, when he retires, if and when he ever does, who would take his spot over? And as a joke, people are saying Chael Sonnen, but a lot of people, the smart money's on Rich Franklin.
That wouldn't be the worst decision in the world, given that Franklin is a very intelligent, very well-schooled guy. Literally, given he used to be a teacher, well-schooled. So, you would want a guy with that level of knowledge of the sport, respect for the fighters, and understanding of the business details from being in that role himself. He would be an excellent guy to run as a president of a company.
Well, let's move on to the co-main event, and it's a big tilt in the heavyweight division as Andrei Arlovski fights Stipe Miocic.
Stipe.
Stipe, I would say Stipe. I don't know.
Yeah. It's not Stipe like you're eating a bowl of tripe or a fruit that's ripe. It's Stipe.
Well, I think he's got a gripe against Arlovski, who's the best heavyweight.
Well, he doesn't have a gripe if you look at what the odds say, because right now, Miocic is the minus 230 favorite. Arlovski is plus 190 on the comeback.
See, I wouldn't be surprised if Arlovski wins, but I'm going with Miocic.
I would firmly go with Miocic here. It's the age factor. It's the strength factor. Arlovski, give him credit for achieving what he's achieved to get to this point right now. You cannot take anything away from him. Even if he got a couple of controversial wins in his working his way back to being in the upper ranks of UFC, a win's a win, as we always say on this show. However you get it is however you got it. Just like we said with Carlos Condit. Even if you got it in the last 10 seconds, doesn't matter. You got it. So let's give Andrei Arlovski the credit where credit is due for beating Frank Mir, Travis Brown, Antonio Silva, Brendan Schaub. He's earned this fight. He's earned his contender spot. But I think Miocic is finally the hump he can't get over.
Kelvin Gastelum against Kyle Noke. Kyle Noke is an interesting fight here for Kelvin.
Wait. You have an incorrect version of the card. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Oh, do?
Yeah, Kelvin Gastelum is pulled out. He is unable to compete. Kelvin Gastelum has a wrist injury. He's being replaced by Alex Morono.
Who?
Alex Morono. I don't know the guy either.
Okay, so Kyle Noke wins.
Well, the fight is now on Fox Sports 1, so.
Oh, wow, they really went down in competition, because they wouldn't, if they found a name fair, they wouldn't have bumped Noke to the prelims.
No. Noke is a minus 300 favorite. Morono is plus 250.
Is he a local fighter?
I seriously don't. You want me to just look up Sherdog on the air while we're recording
No,
this?
No,
I will. For our listeners' benefit, they're asking the same question you are, like, who the blank is Alex Morono, and they want to know too. So I'm going to do the research, and I'm going to tell you all right now on the air. He is from Gracie Barra Jiu-Jitsu. He is 11-3. He fights out of Houston, Texas. His nickname is the Great White. He has won his last 5 fights in a row, including a guillotine choke of Derek Krantz and a knockout of Valdir Arujo.
Is this his UFC debut?
This is his UFC debut.
Oh.
Not a tomato can. He is 11-3. He's a good fighter, but yeah, Kyle Noke, probably just by being a veteran with more experience, deserves to be the favorite on the odds.
Lorenz Larkin fighting Albert Tumanov.
That fight is definitely still very much in effect. Larkin is plus 200. Tumanov is the favorite at minus 240. Do you agree?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Tumanov has been on a roll. His only loss in his last, 10, 12 fights was Ildemar Alcantara. And that was a decision, a split decision. So this guy could be undefeated in UFC if not for that. So I like him being the favorite here, but as we've said with some of these other fights, Larkin is definitely no pushover. He's beaten Doomsday Howard and Santiago Ponzinibbio, but what Tumanov has is the ability to neutralize Larkin in wrestling and keep it standing, and that might not work out for Larkin. We'll see.
And Diego Brando fights Brian Ortega to wrap up the main card unless they put another fight on the main card.
No, they moved the fight up to the main card. It's Abel Trujillo and Tony Sims.
Oh, really? Okay.
So we'll talk about Brando and Ortega first. Right now the odds on that are minus 230 for Ortega, plus 190 for Brando. I'm feeling that. I feel like that's the right call because Brando is just inconsistent. You know, he loses to the upper elite guys like Dustin Poirier and Conor McGregor, and he beats the middle of the road guys like Hedges and Kikuno, whereas Ortega looks like a guy that's on the rise, got a lot going for him. He's 9-0. I think he's a prospect. I like him in this fight.
All right. I'm going to go with Brando on that one, just on an upset. I feel this is a fight he can win.
Fair enough.
We've seen fights like that in the past where, yeah, they can't beat the upper echelon guys, but push comes to shove. If they're in a fight middle of the card, I think I would put money on him.
All right. Well, we'll see how it goes. And as for Trujillo and Sims, it's minus 125 on Sims and plus 105 on Trujillo. So pretty much a coin flip.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Trujillo.
It's a risky proposition because he's lost his last two fights in a row, including one just a little over a month and a half ago at UFC Fight Night, Belfort versus Henderson 3.
I just think it's Trujillo's time to win. If not, 3 in a row, and see ya.
Maybe so, but I know you like this whole fighters on the wall. Can they, when their back's against the wall, can they turn it out and make something big happen? But I feel like Tony Sims has the pressure on him too because he lost to Olivier Aubin-Mercier at that Holloway versus Oliveira fight night. So it wouldn't be multiple losses in a row if he lost again, but you don't want to string together 2 losses in a row because, as I learned from a recent interview with Robbie Peralta, sometimes 2 losses is all it takes.
All right, on the prelims, boy, there's some interesting names on here. Even on the Fight Pass.
Yeah, Fox Sports 1 has a nice main event here with Michael McDonald and Masanori Karanahara.
That one could be Fight of the Night. I could see that.
Has that potential. Although Kanahara is getting a little bit into a rough patch here. He's lost 2 out of his last 3.
I like the one on Fight Pass with Duffy and Poirier.
Yeah, that's kind of surprising that it's that far down on the card, but I suppose that's once again your hook for get people to buy UFC Fight Pass, and you can watch the last guy that beat Conor McGregor versus one of the guys that lost to Conor McGregor.
And someone made the joke to me earlier today, it's Edgar Garcia and Sheldon Westcott. Sheldon could win the fight and then just say, you're in my spot.
I suppose so.
But Joe Soto and Mishinori Tanaka, yeah, that one might surprise people.
I would expect that to be a really good fight. I don't know if it's Fight of the Night, but I would expect some good things out of that fight because Tanaka was, I'd call him a prospect. He came all the way up to 10-0, lost a split decision, maybe controversial, maybe not, depending on what you thought of the fight, but I feel like this is a guy that could easily have been 11-0 right now.
I think this is for both fighters, it's a interesting fight where the winner will get some of that confidence back, especially in UFC. You're going to want confidence. The loser of this fight in particular, man, I don't know. It's a prospect versus, you know what I mean? Like, it's got a lot of intriguing elements all at once, and it's on Fight Pass. So the ones who are watching it aren't your casual fans. These are the guys who are the hardcores like you and I. So we can break down this fight 8 ways from Sunday as opposed to 8 buddies sitting at home, having a party and, oh, that guy's cool because he's got better tattoos. And I gotta
Do
reach
people
over
still
and
use that argument anymore in 2015, almost
the
2016?
arguments. The last time I was with a bunch of buddies for a UFC show, one person said, "I'm picking him because he's got no tattoos." And I looked
Really?
at him, and I wanted to smack him, and my buddy just gave me a look like, "No, it's not worth it, bro. Just don't."
Well, anyway, for the fights that we did just talk about, McDonald is the heavy favorite over Kanahara, 550 to plus 425. And let's see, Poirier and Duffy. Duffy is minus 190. Poirier is plus 165. Soto and Tanaka is a coin flip. Westcott and Garcia minus 160 for Westcott and plus 140 for Garcia. So, based on those, I would go with Westcott, Soto, Duffy, and definitely McDonald. No question.
Oh, sorry. That's why you fight the fights.
I lost you there. What happened?
Oh, I had to hit the mute button because I was coughing off air.
I see.